Australia's squad for the test match against Pakistan has been announced. David Warner is there for the first test at least. So the speculation is growing that perhaps he will get his wish to retire from tests at the SCG in 2024. But one particular individual is not very happy with David Warner's selection. In fact, in the column that he's written in an Australian newspaper, it has been really brutal. Mitchell Johnson, the former Australia left-arm pacer, has really lashed out at David Warner and George Bailey for the way how Warner is getting his time to choose when he wants to retire. And he's accused George Bailey also of being hand in glove with the fact that, okay, you're letting Warner get away with it. Mitchell Johnson believes that David Warner should not be selected because it is disrespectful and also because it reeks of arrogance. Because he was part of one of Australia's biggest ever cricketing scandals to have taken place in the 21st century. Now, in that column of his, Mitchell Johnson has stated that why on earth is David Warner getting all the right things at his disposal, which is totally wrong. It's a very interesting comment that Mitchell Johnson has stated when it comes to both David Warner and George Bailey, who is the chairman of Selectors. Now, what is the backdrop of Mitchell Johnson's rant that he's done against David Warner? So, David Warner has been included in the test matches against Pakistan, and George Bailey has stated that he's the best that we have, and that is why he will open with Usman Khawaja. Remember, 14th of December is the first test match at the Optus Stadium in Perth. And after that, the Boxing Day test and the New Year's Day test in Sydney. Farewell series for David Warner regarding test matches. We don't know the status of his white balls career. Will he play the World T20? Will he play T20s? Or will he retire from international cricket and pursue franchisee cricket? That we do not know. Criticism over selection has come from Mitchell Johnson, and it has been quite brutal because he's broken it down as far as stats, backdrop and the scandal is concerned. Now, what has Mitchell Johnson said to David Warner in that column of his? The way David Warner was picked for the Pakistan tests, Mitchell Johnson believes the way he is going out is underpinned by more of the same arrogance and disrespect to the country. Now, the same arrogance and disrespect was shown during 2018 Newlands, the Sandpaper Gate scandal. And because of what has happened, and because Warner was banned for 1 year, but then he's been handed a lifetime ban from captaincy, and also because he tried to overturn his ban, but Cricket Australia had nothing to do with it. And that is why Mitchell Johnson believes that because of what happened in Newlands, and because of the incidents that happened there, he should not even have the right to determine when he should go away from a particular format. Not just Sandpaper Gate, Mitchell Johnson goes ahead and states why a struggling test opener gets to nominate his own retirement date, and why a player at the center of the biggest scandals in Australian cricket history warrants a hero send-off. Now, this is pretty harsh. A hero send-off for David Warner. If he does well in Sydney, he may go out on the ultimate of highs. But Mitchell Johnson says why? And on top of that, the numbers are not backing David Warner when it comes to red ball cricket. If you look at 2023, the performances that he had against India in the BGT, in the Ashes in England, plus the World Test Championship cycle, all meant that David Warner was living on borrowed time at this point. Do you agree with Mitchell Johnson's assessment that because the numbers have not been good, but also because he was part of the biggest scandals in Australian cricket, which led to the change of culture, which led to Australia playing a different form of cricket, is that warranted? Johnson believes that Warner leaves behind a tainted legacy because what he stated, Warner never deserved to be captain for that matter. In fact, he ends his career under a lifetime leadership ban. Now remember, Steve Smith got a 1-year ban plus an additional 1-year ban from captaincy. The rehabilitation was complete when he captained Australia in the game at Adelaide and also in Indore. But now, Warner, he tried to overturn his captaincy ban, but it did not succeed. And that's why he said that he ends his career under a lifetime cricket ban. And anyway, he never deserved to be the captain in the aftermath of Sandpapergate. Johnson backs it up by saying, although Warner wasn't alone in Sandpapergate, he was at the time a senior member of the team and someone who liked to use his perceived power as a leader. When the Sandpapergate scandal broke out, everybody stated that Cameron Bancroft and Steve Smith are not alone. There was a leadership core in the Australian team who did all this. Many pointed fingers at Darren Lehman, but most of them pointed fingers at David Warner. And because of Warner's position in the Australian team, he could have been the next captain, but because of his actions in Newlands, he never will become the captain. He tried unsuccessfully before 2022 to ensure that, okay, I get my ban overturned, but it didn't happen. So, because he wasn't alone in Sandpapergate but was one of the masterminds, apparently that is the report that is still there. Warner's never come out in the open and said, yes, I freely did it. I was part of the Sandpapergate scandal. He was implicated in it. So that's why David Warner, in these kind of situations, having a tainted legacy, not having numbers behind him as far as test match cricket is concerned, he's getting to choose his own retirement and go out. Johnson reckons that it's wrong because he also added, leading into this year's Ashes series, that was the only time he had reached 50 in his previous 17 test innings. He's talking about the double 100 that he got against South Africa on Boxing Day. But remember, sandwiched between that double 100 prior to that and even after that, he did not even go past 50. The struggles that he got against India, he struggled in India, got a concussion and a elbow injury. Then in England, he was undone by Stuart Broad yet again. And because of that, Australia just could not come to terms with that. They lost the series 2-1 and 2-2 was the series result in England. David Warner was found struggling in both India and England. And that's why heading home into this potentially final series in international cricket, does Warner deserve the send-off? But not just David Warner, Johnson has also criticized George Bailey because he stated, wonder what the role of the head selector is these days. It seems to have moved to be a part of the inner sanctum rather than standing aside from it. Traditionally, what would happen? Selectors would not be part of the inner coterie. They would just select the team, view it from a distance and ensure they would just have a professional working relationship. But in the case of George Bailey, it seems to be like he's friends with most of the players and that he is doing them a favor. Now, remember, this is the same Mitchell Johnson who said that Pat Cummins' captaincy was gutless and that he was not having that aggressive instinct. That drew a very sharp criticism about a couple of years back. Pat Cummins and George Bailey in their own ways have silenced the critics in their own right by stating that, okay, we won the World T20, the World Test Championship and the ODI World Cup. George Bailey, on the other hand, has been given a lot of praise for the way how he's communicated with the players, how he's kept their inner mental peace at bay, how he has ensured that the players are not mentally frazzled about anything. And because of that, Australia are once again the team that they were prior to the Sandpapergate scandal. Yes, there was 2 years of turmoil, 3 years of turmoil if I look at it. 2018-19 until 2020, even if I may say 2021 also. But after that, Australia really bounced back. I mean, the first Ashes series under Pat Cummins' captaincy, that was the starting point of their revival. And since then, they have not looked back. Do you agree with Mitchell Johnson's assessment that Warner should not be given a should not be allowed to choose when he retires? Should he have been even included in the test series? You can write to us in the comments below. And is the criticism too harsh? Is it justified? Or is Mitchell Johnson's criticism in the column just a rant? You can write to us and tell us whether Johnson's right or wrong. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.